Hi, this is Khalil Golivala. Welcome to another episode of the BIPOC Manager podcast, a weekly podcast helping minorities advance in their careers. Today, I'm super excited to have Rommil Santiago with us. Rommil is a product and marketing optimization leader. He's been the experimentation thought leader of 2023, founder of Experiment Nation, which is this huge community of people working in marketing across the world. He was previously at the largest retailer in Canada. Super excited to have him today. Rommil, please.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show. I know we've worked together in the past, so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to jump into the questions you may have for me.
Thank you, Rommil. One of the things that I'm very kind of fascinated about is this your career has kind of, you've been in places where you worked the university environment, you worked you had your own agency, you worked in big shops. Can you talk about, like how did in different points in your career, how did you distinguish yourself on the job market?
That's a great question because I'm often when I'm looking for work, I kind of look at my peers, my competition in a sense. Like I Google myself probably too much, or my skill set, and I go, who am I up against? And often I find that there's a lot of folks doing something like optimization or analytics at the time, and you're like, okay, how do I stick out? So my trick there is often to, and this is going to sound weird. I guess maybe it's not that weird, but I try to find a weakness in what I have and flip it to a strength. So let's say I don't have much experience in marketing. Early in my career, I wanted to get into marketing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to get into marketing, but I can't. So I had a lot of designer experience, a lot of engineering experience. So then I framed myself as a marketer with with engineering and design background. So I kind of like took my weaknesses and coupled them with my strengths, and that differentiated me a lot. It's not having that depth in that field that I wanted to go in, and just supplementing it with stuff I did have. I think I did that over and over and over. So if you kind of creep my LinkedIn, you'll see that I was an engineer, and then when I wanted to become a designer, I was a designer who knows how to code, you know. And then when I wanted to go analytics, well, I was an analyst, but I know how things are built and how everything was connected, and that helped me get into growth and marketing and all that stuff. I just kept repeating the same pattern where, look at all the stuff I do know, I bring this to the table as well. So it's not really deep thinking there, but that's what I did.
Yeah. And Ramil, just on that point, it's actually something I've never heard about before. Because normally in a lot of sort of, advice or training you'd hear someone almost like say, almost like build a bridge from where you are. Sort of like they would tell people, say that you're an engineer who can also do marketing. What I love is you flip the script. Like, no, you're kind of saying, I'm already part of the group. And within these group of within marketers, whatever, I also have this knowledge over here. I think that is something unique that you've done.
And by doing that, and I'm not saying and you should do this, this is what worked for me. By doing that, you find yourself in roles where you can leverage both sides.
Yeah.
So you're almost, you kind of save yourself from being a fish out of water. So let's say I didn't do that and I just took a pure marketing job, didn't touch any of the technical stuff. I would think you'd feel a little bit more of a pretender syndrome, or imposter syndrome, sorry. Or you'll feel like you can't do half your job as well as you should know compared to all the other folks. But because you kind of leverage the stuff that you knew before, you land in roles where you can leverage it. So you feel a little bit more comfortable. You're able to network more. That's another thing that's really important, is that by doing this technique, you often can lead with, I know how to tie different silos. I know how to talk to different people. I know how to do that and communicate, because often pros in silos like marketing or product or engineering don't know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're a kind of person that likes to make those connections. If not, then there's no point in doing this. But that's another advantage that you could get out of leveraging that.
Yeah, it's just you're talking about different fields you've been like marketing and analytics, and analytics is such a huge thing right now. These are fields that tend to have a lot of minorities within it. Can you talk about, so in your experience, what do you think helps? How do you think would help a minority, or what helps them set them apart in these kind of in these fields?
I'm not sure if it's only for minorities.
Okay.
I think it's applicable to anyone, but I think it's doubly important for minorities, I would say, is being strong communicators. I feel that I myself am a minority. You always feel like you have to prove yourself more than other folks. You have to be experts at XYZ. But at the end of the day, that's not really as important as being able to communicate what you know and what you did. So I think I'm pulling from my experience of seeing this in different workplaces where, for instance, you have a brilliant analyst, like they're able to see insights that no one else could see and pull queries that no one else can write. And it's like very impressive. It's like really up there. But it was a struggle for them to communicate what they found. And I'm not saying have perfect English or whatever, just phrase it simply. People like to dive into the complication and then trying to prove how smart they are, try to show how complex the work is. It's not important. At the end of the day, you need to say what you found within a sentence or two so a senior leader can understand it in a form of a soundbite that they could repeat it to someone else. Customer X buys more of Y because of Z. That's a sentence people can remember. But often what happens is I did a regression analysis and I ran it through Python and I used MI and that's not MI, AI and ML to pull an insight, and people like lost, they glaze over. So really it's about being clear, and that's going to differentiate you among all your peers, because everyone's trying to sound smart. But if you could appear clear and memorable, that's actually be more in your advantage.
Okay, thanks, Rommil. Maybe a bit of change of pace, but what I would love to talk about more about guests is the fact that each of us kind of has a different sort of cultural heritage and a background, and we always talk about sort of some of that being a superpower. So I was wondering for you, Rommil, can you talk about maybe your heritage and what parts of it you tap into as a strength or a superpower?
Well, I'm of Filipino descent. Embarrassingly, my Tagalog is terrible. So I'm definitely not pulling on that. I'm not pulling on singing or being a nurse. My wife's a nurse. She's an amazing nurse. I'm terrible at remembering all the body parts. So that's not where I'm pulling it. At the end of the day, it's about welcoming and making connections. That's what Filipinos are really good at. They're good at, they're in the hospitality business often. And it's just making people feel like they're welcome. And I think I pull on that as I work across the different functions, where I pull on my ability to empathize with the different groups and translate their needs to other people and try to get all these people to work together. I think that's what I learned. At least that's what my parents taught me. So maybe it's more influenced by them than my culture per se. But yeah, just trying to make that connection, get people together and give them snacks. That's another thing that we do. And I try to do that once in a while.
Yeah. I grew up in Dubai, and I was surrounded by Filipino people. It's beautiful people, always gonna be happy, enjoying life, and
we like a good karaoke.
Yeah. I wonder, Emil, I was going to ask you a question, but I wonder if it ties in here is, that you've grown Experiment Nation, which is a huge community of marketers across the world. And you were talking about sort of your background. It's about, bringing people together in hospitality. Can you talk a bit of kind of how you grew Experiment Nation, this community of marketers across the world?
Yeah, sure. It's a bit of a weird story, because people ask me this question and they're expecting like a grand vision and a master plan. And it's not like that. And so I'm always shocked when people go, Rommil Santiago founded this enormous community. It's a strong, and I'm like, I'm flattered. And at the same time, like, is it big? Oh yeah, I guess it's kind of big. So the origin is kind of very modest, where I started at a job, and I'm from Montreal originally, and I moved to Toronto. And I didn't really have a network. I didn't have a brand. I didn't know people in my field, which was experimentation here. I knew folks back home, quote unquote. I say home because I still support the Habs, and I'll never support the Leafs. I don't know if you want to edit that out or not. But I just wanted to start making those connections. So I started reaching out to folks, hey, let's have a chat. Because I figured if I interviewed someone, they would share it in their network along with my name, and that would just grow. So I thought, okay, I'll interview this person. I interview that person, and like, okay, well, these interviews are kind of interesting.
Okay.
I thought I was going to post on a personal blog, but okay, let's make it a more cohesive thingamabobber. So I came up with Experiment Nation because it's a play on the word of experimentation. So I just put in an N. Confused everyone apparently with the first year. Everyone put Experimentation Nation. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have done that. But that URL would have been really long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a collection of interviews, one every so often, kept posting that. And it did grow. I got more followers and more followers. And I was like, okay, well, this is nice. It's cute. And I wanted to hold a conference, right? Because I've always, I guess maybe that's another thing I pulled from my Filipino heritage. I like to throw parties. So I wanted to throw a party, but I had no money. Everyone was global. And I thought, oh shit, I can't do that. So that's why it's virtual. If you follow Experimentation, we have a virtual conference every fall where we highlight people who don't get a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
In Experimentation. And that's how that was born, because I don't have the funds or the means to do it physically. And I kind of wanted all the countries to take part. So once I started holding a conference, that's when I started to have a real following. People started sharing their content out, and so I got more of a following. And it really steamrolled from there. It was like, okay, people started latching on. More people were talking about us, thanking us for promoting their voice, because a lot of the folks that we support are those who can't make normal conferences, normal ones, where they only want the big hitters, the ones that will draw in the sales for the tickets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's the beginning of it, where I just wanted to build a network, and then I wanted to throw a party. And that just spread the word like wildfire. And we've been doing it for almost 5 years now. I don't know the exact number of years because I didn't prepare that. But yeah, it's still going strong. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, no, I just love that, because again, it combines a bit of your heritage, but also just like you said, like like looking at those opportunities, right? Like you saw people who did have a voice, but because it's around the world, giving them a forum, making it accessible, so it's digital, using what's even more a bit easier, giving these people a platform, a voice to be part of the community.
Yeah, embarrassingly, like right now, the core vision is to elevate all the voices that don't usually get the ears that we want them to hear. It didn't start off that way, embarrassingly. I didn't have that foresight. I kind of fell into it, where it's like, well, look at all these conversations that people are having, no one's listening to. People need to hear these folks, not just, and all the love to them, all these known people. It's kind of a broken record. We need some different perspectives from people who are not really represented, from different countries, different backgrounds, different orientations. So yeah, it admittedly is a bit opportunistic, but it is something I truly believe in. So yeah, we shifted. I like to say we. It's mostly me, but I like to say we. You're included. And yeah, that's it.
That's from yeah. So before we wrap up the episode, is anything you'd like to mention? I mean, anything you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. I'm not the best at bragging about myself. But if you like experimentation or are interested in conversion rate optimization, follow myself and Khalil on experimentnation.com. We have a YouTube channel, we're a podcast, we have a conference, as I mentioned, we have a newsletter, we have everything. Feel free to follow us in all the socials and all the ways. We'll welcome you. We'll chat with you in the Slack channel. That's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. And as part of this episode, I'll definitely include like a link to you, like maybe your link to the website and LinkedIn as well. So if anyone wants to follow you, they could probably do that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today, Rommil.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Have a good one.